Hello and welcome. Today I have Audrey, Starseednetlink, and she's a spiritual researcher, a spiritual consultant. She's a teacher that's given information from non-human beings, and she presents this to people um, about galactic beings and galactic politics. So let's give it up for Audrey and hear what she has to say.
Hi, hello. My name is Audrey. I started my YouTube channel about 3 years ago. After getting like nudge after nudge to start it to share information about what I've learned or what has been dormant inside of me until now to basically teach about galactic politics and also to teach about what's going on and explain the reason why ETs do the stuff that they do or the reason why they don't follow us. I have a popular YouTube series called Space School Lessons, and it just breaks down different type of topics for people to watch. Um, it first The beginning of stages of my YouTube channel was specifically geared for people who are beginners or people who have never heard about this stuff before, about spirituality, star seeds, um, metaphysics, astral, and all that stuff. And then slowly over time, it started turning into a research channel because I started realizing that I talk about a lot of different topics that other typical star seed channels don't talk about. So it's has shifted into more spiritual research channel where I share and try to explore different types of avenues or different ways of looking about spiritual teachings and to understand what spirituality is.
Cool. So, can you tell us a little bit about being a star seed and what that means, just in general, for those that don't know about star seeds? Because you said you're different, you have a different approach. So, let's hear what is the star seed?
From me doing a lot of research and understanding, it's people who have um, physical recall with a combination of actual physical visitations with their galactic family or galactic beings over a course or period of your lifetime. And they are given information or downloads of information over a period of time, which they are mostly supposed to be used or to help educate humanity or to help humanity. And when I talk about like um actual recall, like they can remember where they come from, a little bit about their star seed origins, um, or they exactly know a little bit more information about their not on their galactic heritage, their galactic origin, who they are, about what's going on, and they have a more deeper sense of connection to the galaxy and the stars than other people. Like they're not just like, I might come from this, but they consciously know like, oh, I'm from here, I know that, and they can elaborate a lot deeper. There are some people like starseeds that do have their abilities activated and they can do healing or telepathy or telecommunication, and they're able to not only do this with themselves, but they can also communicate with non-human beings and be able to establish contact. And essentially some people channel these type of beings in order to get information from them. So a star seed, the way that I describe it is people who have um not only like physical and mental recall, but they have a combination of different spiritual abilities that are also have been awakened, and they are actively using them to either better their lives or to teach other people about how to use them and how to activate them.
Cool. It sounds really awesome. So is this something that so what makes you different? How long have you been doing this? Like how long has this been happening? Is it something that you can shut off? Like tell us a little bit about your experience. Is it something that you want or that you like feel at ease with or
Um, it's something that I'm just used to. This has been happening for most of my life. I'm not, how do you want to say, I don't see it as an issue. I don't have problems with it. It just makes my day or life a lot more interesting and a lot more fun.
yeah.
Um, a lot of people are probably question like, why me? Why that? And I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest. Um, but on the other hand, I just like it. I enjoy it. I learn a lot of different things. And I just have different approaches about it. One thing that I have learned that not everybody gets a chance to have access to this information, and I talk about this in my book, where some people they do take a lot of children into these programs. They're not evil, they're just going to an alternate way of schooling. And not every child passes this. This is because they don't pass certain qualities or certain tests. They're mostly looking for children that are docile and not so much hostile. And I explain this in my book where they're looking for people who have the emotional intelligence beyond themselves. And what I mean by that is that they have the capability of understanding and having compassion with something beyond themselves. And one of the scenarios that I get in my book is that I have had dream experiences, but also dream tests where they will test your reaction or test how you interact with certain situations. And one of the situations was that I saw a UFO being shot down by military personnel, and there was a survivor from a UFO crash that was looking for safe harbor. They were wondering from that scenario whether or not I would turn the ET beam for my own personal safety or if I would help. And I did help this being. I gave it shelter, and then in the dream state, um, after completing the test, the being from that actual scenario actually came back and actually thanked me
Oh,
for
nice.
helping it. So it showed to these ETs that I do have emotional intelligence, that I can respect something and not try to kill it or try to um, basically cause it harm, but to figure out a way to communicate and help it. And that is what they're looking for. And they actually do give these tests out to these children to see how they would interact with in these type of in these type of situations. And that situation dictates what type of stuff that they can be exposed to beyond themselves. So it's mostly a test of seeing like how can they handle certain situations, and not everybody can handle it or mentally handle it, and that's the reason why they do this. And so due to the fact that I have passed these tests over and over and over again, I just get exposed to more and more stuff, and they don't go beyond that threshold of what I can't mentally handle. So it's stuff that I'm learning, but they're also learning from me as well. And it's sort of just bridging the gap between communications and a lot of the stuff that they're teaching me has a lot to do with what is going on in the SSP programs or these shadow government programs. And it's just about trying to assess whether or not our society or the human race is ready for interstellar contact or interstellar interactions with these type of beings.
Wow. So that's pretty cool. So I have so many questions about that. So tell us more about these tests that you took. Was it a series of tests all at once? And then once you pass them, then you kind of graduate to an opening of classes or trainings, or is that how that worked? And then tell us a little bit about these trainings that you got, these teachings.
So the first couple of teachings is usually about self-defense. Um, it's mostly about trying to access and use your abilities, but also how to protect yourself. Um, it's been a series of tests where they would teach you to see what you will do with these type of abilities, um, and see if you can mentally handle your abilities. Just because someone want these type of abilities, whether it's telepathy, telekinesis, or any other psychic ability like clairvoyance and stuff, some people cannot mentally handle it. They just cannot mentally handle it. And just because they might be physically ready doesn't necessarily mean that they mentally can handle it.
Okay.
And so this is the reason why they do these tests, to see if you are not just mentally capable of doing it, but you can mentally handle it over a period of time, because some people can't. And these tests are not just you're done all the time, they're done at periodically different periods of your life, because a lot of people go through personal growth or personal um, changes in their life. So they're not going to be the same person that they saw when they first met this person when they're like 3 or 5 years old.
Right.
They will do another test when they're teenagers, and they might do a couple of different tests when they're adult. But it's nothing more than what they can handle. And some humans are a lot better at physically and mentally coping and understanding the situation that they're in, and some people are not. And that is something that a lot of people don't really realize. And what I'm talking about is that we're not just talking about experiences in astral or dream state. We're talking about physical face-to-face interactions with these beings. I have interviewed a woman who is part of the alien human hybrid program on my YouTube channel, and she talks about how they take her, like physically take her, to take care of some of these hybrid children in these programs. And and she can mentally handle it. She can physically and mentally handle it, and they teach her stuff or show her things that she can mentally handle and understand or is curious about, because they understand her threshold of what she can understand and what she doesn't understand, because they have been working with her since she was a child or a teenager. And these beings do develop relationships or connections with these people that they do take over time, even though that some beings like the Greys have a bad reputation about stuff. But it's them trying to understand the culture connection or culture understanding of us. What I mean by that is that we might know what a cup is and what it's used for, but in the context of culture understanding of an entire ET species, they don't understand that concept of what a coffee mug is. And so there are people that are trained to be culture interpreters, to understand the culture of the human race and how to translate our culture understandings interpretations to these ET beings. Some of these ET beings have been studying the human race for thousands of years. They saw
Mhm.
us when we were cavemen and cavewomen, and they are seeing the culture evolution of our entire species, and they're just biding their time to see whether or not that we're ready for contact. And And I'm going to be doing a live stream video this Sunday talking about some recent events, which correlates to galactic politics. Is that they're essentially assessing us as a species. They're assessing us who we are as a species. And they're so projective on the reason why they might show up in drones or show up the way that they do is to assess us. It's not really to harm us, but to basically assess our situation. Their main objective is to watch and observe us, but not to interact with us because they don't want to culturally taint our culture that it already has. A lot of our human culture has been tainted by otherworldly beings because there was no presidents or no um, legal counsel to order to protect some of the stuff. So Earth is sort of like a backwater planet or like one of those planets that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition. So yeah, we do. So Earth for the longest time used to get away with a lot of stuff. And this is the reason why we had a lot of stories, or the reason why we had a lot of ET beings interact with Earth the way that they do over a period of time. Now that has changed because our society has shifted. We are now not just a race, we are a split culture. There are humans here that live on Earth, and there are also humans that live out in the SSP programs, out in different colonies that have shifted the dynamic understanding of galactic politics, but also pushed that threshold of like when they need to intervene or when they don't need when they need to intervene and when they need to start interacting with us because of the political climate out there. And so essentially is that they're just assessing. Their main objective is to protect the planet from us and from
Okay.
self-destruction. So this is the reason why you see a lot of UFOs watch certain military bases or military installations or
Like
military
nuclear
tests.
plants and stuff.
Yes, is because their sole objective is to protect the planet from us. They
Makes
don't
sense.
they don't want us to destroy the planet that we live on because
Yeah.
there are others non-human entities that live alongside us on our same planet. So their main objective is to just basically protect the planet from us, essentially.
Okay. So are there a lot of these non-entities that are living with us? And what about these people that are doing these tests? Do most people remember them, or do they do memory wipes because they don't want it to affect them in their waking life? And then the people that do pass and are contacted continuously, do most of them are most of them aware, or do you think a lot of them are just kind of sleeping in their daily life and unaware of their dream world? And somebody has the comment if you want to. They said, quite ironic that the media would say they are here to harm us when really they are trying to stop the baby from playing with the fireworks again.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, essentially, um, from trying to answer the question, most people in these programs don't remember at all, and they
Okay.
do memory wipes a lot. And this is because they don't want to culturally taint us that we already have. The Greys basically already culturally tainted our society. Like everybody knows what a gray looks like because it's been basically stained within human culture. It's the first thing that people think about when they talk about ETs and UFOs.
Mm,
That's culturally tainting our
true.
society. And out in the United States. I don't know where you are from, but
I'm from
out in the United States, um, out in I guess Nevada, there's called the Little Alien Cafe, or there's a little town, and someone has so much ET contact that they create an entire town themed after the Greys. They even created a
Wow.
10-foot tall metal gray alien as a tourist attraction. So we understand that they are literally, they visit there a lot often, more than usual, to the point where you have the actual humans or the local humans creating statues, creating icon images of them. So that's essentially what they refer to as culture contamination, where they don't want too much culture contamination to the point where we see them as gods, st- like what our ancestors used to do, where we would think that they're gods and create stories about them.
Like the extraterrestrial gods.
Yes. So this is the reason why a lot of them mind wipe. I have been noticing that a lot of people think that they're demotic. I have seen a lot of people think that a lot of these ET beings are demotic. And it just kind of shows the lack of understanding, or the lack of trying to understand something beyond themselves. There was a study done by the Free Foundation back in the early 2010s, and they did a scientific research journal that was published that most of the people that have ET contact was astoundingly positive. Like
Hmm.
they some people reported that they would have chronic health pain problems, and slowly over the course of interacting with these ET beings through this report, through the Free Foundation, reported that it was positive, that over time they slowly figured out that these beings were slowly healing them,
Wow.
these chronic
Oh,
illnesses. Some people have reported where they would heal heal them, like from heart pain, or like from a broken leg, or speed up the healing process, or at least show them how to speed up the healing process. So from that report from the Free Foundation, that is physical proof from over like 500 to 1,000 participants that shared that information, saying that most of their experience were profoundly positive, and they have even noted that some of these ET beings actually heal them, like it's like free healthcare.
yeah. Wow.
I have interviewed a native man called Greg. You can see his interview. He's from a Native American tribe. And he also, in that interview, talks about how these ET beings interact with him and actually protect his village from negative ET beings that are in the area that surround his native village where he's from. So these ET beings that come here, it's not negative, it's positive. It's just that we don't understand them quite fully yet, because of the religious and fear factor that has been in our society for a very, very long time.
So you've been quite exposed in the media with a lot of these people, and you've written a book on this. You've spent a lot of your experiences on Earth in contact. So what's next for you? Like what's on the agenda? What are you trying to do? What are they asking you to do for teachings? And like where are you going with all this right now in the near future?
I'm trying to become more established and well known. They want me to reach as many people as possible that I can, that want to learn this. The difficulty is that I share this information, but not everybody is ready to hear this information.
Right.
So the more and more people that find my content, the more people that I'm teaching. So they mostly want me to grow organically and establish myself and establish connection with my audience and people who are willing to listen to this information, because um, it's more about, we're trying to explain to you why this is happening and the function that where it's happening, how to approach it, and how to interact with us properly. the last thing that they want to do is feel like we're a threat to us. The last thing they want is to make us to think that they're going to invade us or enslave us. But in actuality, they want to work with us through the hybridization program. I have found out that some humans don't know that they have alien DNA inside of them. I used to be part of human colonies, or also known as Hucolo, and they have actual scientific research where they want people to basically donate their DNA, and they can actually showcase, or actually through private medical research, to actually show whether or not that you have alien DNA inside of you. And they have
It's
been
a
finding,
test.
yeah, it's a genetic test. You can go on their
Wow.
website and actually see some of their research. And so I think that's pretty interesting that we have
Yeah.
actual humans that actually have alien DNA. So some of these ET beings, when they come and visit us, some of these humans, they're actually their great great grandchild or their actual family relative when coming to visit some of these people that get abducted. So essentially is when we talk about the galactic family, we're actually talking about their actual galactic family, like actual genetic galactic family that's actually visiting them from the stars, giving them this information to their family. Like, we
Yeah.
feel that it's responsible, that we understand. Like, if you look at ancient aliens, a tribe in Africa remembers someone from Sirius B constellation interbreeding with this family, and you can actually see physical deformities. They will actually show you in the sky where the star is from. They actually claim that it's from Sirius B, and you can actually see the physical deformity.
What physical deformity does this family have, and what website's this DNA website?
So the website that I'm talking about is called hucolo.org, or Human Colony. I used to be a part of it back in 2014, 2015. They have a YouTube channel. But if you
Hmm.
go on their website, um, and look at their website and look at some of the work that they've been doing over the 10 plus years, they're trying to actually gather scientific research and medical research about this. And so I thought that was kind of very interesting. So a lot of people need to understand that yes, we are making claims, but we also do want to follow this up with actual scientific research, not just this is spirituality, but they're trying to bridge the gap between spirituality and science and bring them together. And this is
Hmm.
actual proof. We're slowly starting to see actual scientific evidence to back up some of these claims in the spiritual community and UFO community.
And what are these hybridization programs that you speak of? Is that just where they mate with humans, and is it intentional?
Some
Humans know.
some people are trained. What I mean by trained, I mean they are geared for it. I'm still doing a lot of fundamental research, but I've been doing a lot of research to the point where they don't, some of them do because of a decade long hybridization program. During the early days, I would say after World War II, it was more sterile, meaning that you would hear a lot of reports of women being taken and men being taken, and they would medically extract egg and sperm from males and females. And this was during the earlier days,
Hmm.
say back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And due to the fact that this program's been going on for 20 plus years, um, there are reports from the early 2000s where some people are actually can physically mate with some of the hybrids from these programs. Um, I do know that some cannot physically mate, so they still do the physical. And from what I have understand, the reason why they're doing this is to create culture interpreters. So when time comes, when we are ready to basically connect, and some people actually have actual relationships with some of these non-human entities, like actual romantic relationships,
Oh yeah.
similar to what you see in Star Trek and some other stuff. Like, this is actually really real. Some people don't talk about it because it's ostracized or they think that it's some sort of delusional fantasy, but there has been a documentary that has been posted called The Seeding. And there is a woman that actually shows in that documentary of her actually being pregnant with a hybridized child and them extracting it from her.
And what happens to these hybridized children that they're
Some
extracting?
some people, so this is kind of very interesting. Some people that I have talked to don't even know that they're hybrids at all.
Really?
So some of these ET beings, that if they're human enough and they act enough as humans, they can basically simulate them into human society without them even knowing and give them back to their birth parent or their birth parent, essentially.
Mm.
Some hybrid children cannot physically come to the planet because the atmosphere would kill them. So
Oh.
they stay on their mother's ship, but they're just basically like culture interpreters. They are just basically there to assess and to basically teach. I'm not trying to spin this in a negative way, but there has been some reports that some of the hybridization program is also linked to the SSP programs, where it also deals with human trafficking issues as well. And I do also want to state that as well, but I'm still in the process of still doing a lot of research and stuff. So I do at least want to keep this in a more positive light, but I do want to make awareness that that does happen, that some of this might be connected to human trafficking.
And is that to do with the secret space program? Like there's a hybridized program within the secret space program. And can you explain a little bit about the SSP to people that don't know anything about it? Just a brief overview of what it is.
The SSP stands for the Secret Space Program. Um, what it means is that it's the shadow government within our own government structure that has been kidnapping children into these government programs to serve shadow government affairs. There is a lot of people that do speak about this. We're not talking about claims, we're actually talking about real people that have actual real memories of this actually happening to them, and is growing by the thousands each day. And they take children into these programs, train them abusively, I would say, extremely abusive, and mind fracture and mind altering them to serve these nefarious groups or agendas. Some of them are taken out of space and to basically serve in these programs. Um, the SSP probably started around after World War II, but there has been claims that it's been going on a lot longer than that because of time travel technology issues. But but it's very real. It happens. Um, I do know that people are trying to speak out about it and make awareness about it to change the organization itself to stop doing some of these abusive atrocities that are happening in these programs. But yeah, in a sense. I don't want to say too much because I don't really want to get your video banned or taken off or get a strike. So I'm trying to loosely talk about this or like talk about this stuff. But if people really want to, you can do a lot of research. There has been a lot of videos that have been posted about the SSP programs, the Super Soldier program. There was just recently a conference that was out called the Super Soldier Activation Conference in Orlando, Florida, I think last week, if people want to go
Mm.
check it out. But there has been a lot of people that have claims and have spoken out about this and have actual trying to actually prove that this stuff actually is real. I do know that someone who is very well known in this community has actually had a CIA lady or file person to basically confirm some of the files or stuff that has happened to her through some of these CIA files that have been gotten released due to the Freedom of Act Information Act. So this stuff is very real. It's just we just need to figure out how to navigate this properly without people getting harmed, and how to properly approach and navigate this on a more stable and non abusive way towards people, in a sense.
And so, this Freedom Act that you're speaking of, is that just one person has a connection to someone that works in the CIA that has access to these?
The Freedom of Information Act was the sealing of, I want to say, classified documents that could be released to the public after a certain period of time. And so some of these CIA documents were talking about astral travel to UFOs to a bunch of other interesting. I think there's a YouTube channel called The Black Vault that does a really good job of talking about and discussing a lot of these CIA documents that got released due to the Freedom of Information Act. So, yeah, because of the Freedom of Information Act and because of recent UPA meetings, um, this stuff is very real. It is proof that there are non human entities that are trying to interact with us and trying to understand us as a culture. And it's time for us to basically get in gear that they're here, they're watching, they're trying to understand us.
And what percent of people do you think have been contacted, or like not just knowingly, but in general, like as a whole population, not just in America, but overall, like, because I know it's happening all over the world. So do you think that there's a specific amount of the population that is?
They have told me about 25 to 32% of the population is contacted.
uh,
32% of the population either sees UFOs or UPAs, or strange phenomenons. Um, then 25% actually has face to face interactions with non human entities.
So someone's saying in the comments that orbs have been coming to them for 5 years, daily basis. They came when I got sick and they're still here. I just can't figure out who they are. Do you have any insight for Goob about this that's happening?
Um, I usually orbs. I mostly think people will basically laugh at this, but I mostly believe orbs are fairies.
Really?
There's many different species of fairies,
Mm.
and I do believe that orbs are light beings or elemental beings of fairies. And so yeah, a lot of people don't realize this, but we do have beings of non-human entities that coexist with us, like Bigfoot, fairies, merfolk, forest people, a lot of indigenous ET species that still live alongside us, like in Nevada desert. I think they're called the tall whites. They live out in Nevada desert, and they're like a cousin to the grays, and they just live out on the desert on a different energy playing field. And someone basically published, I think, a YouTube channel or a book where they take junk from a junkyard and they refurbish it and they use it within their own culture. And one of the things that I saw is that they refurbish a school bus and they use it in their own little culture or reality that they're from. and stuff. So the other interesting thing is on X or on Twitter. It used to be called Twitter. There is a YouTube or a Twitter account where you can actually talk to actual ETs on X, and they show pictures, interact with us. I think there was a lady, I'm trying to remember what they're called, but I can basically, if you after the show, I can basically show it to you, where you can actually have conversations with these beings, and they're on X.
Really?
They're following the law. They're not saying like we're here for like, you know, like trying to like take over the planet or anything. They're just like being like regular people on social media. Like they give words of advice, or like they share stuff from their culture and stuff, and they're just being like a regular tourist on X.
Regular tourists touring Earth. How about that?
They're like think about it like aliens basically um
Earth.
touring our planet.
Yeah.
And they're on X. They're publicly known.
What's their name?
Let me see if I can try to find it here. If you give me like 5.
Yeah, take your time. We had another comment that from Goob saying, I've heard that they travel along the ley lines, which is very interesting because I feel like those are heightened energy places, not just centers, but the ley lines are the in between, like the channels, if you will. And they say, like the fairies do with the fairy lines in Celtic folklore. I've never heard about that, the fairy lines, but that would make sense because it says that he's of Irish blood and from the UK. So that's where you get more legends and folklore about fairies, is up that way. Growing up in the UK, we definitely heard a lot more about that stuff than in the US growing up here as well. So, and he says the orbs move in straight lines. So, I haven't heard about that, but I have heard about like certain people in churches or priesthood or whatever, they will go from one place to another and they'll do it on the ley lines. Like they'll travel on the ley lines for some reason.
Yeah, that's very true. The ley lines connect to the energy points or the energy centers of the entire planet through the portal network system of our planet structure.
So have you heard anything about the fairies doing it though? Or why these fairies would want these orbs would just be around him just because
people need to understand that fairies are a completely, utterly different race than what is coming through on the energy ley lines. The fairies are just one of several hundreds of different races that travel through our ley lines. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you said hundreds of different races. So do you communicate with a lot of these different races, or are you in communication with primarily just one?
I'm in contact whoever wants to contact me, as long as they're positive and don't have any hidden nefarious agendas. They're just allowed to contact me. It's just a wide open book. Like, I may not know what their names are, but I'm trying to get back into my artwork. I recently drew a picture for one of my clients of what he used to look like as a starseed. So I'm trying to get back more into my artwork to actually draw out some of these beings that I actually see face to face. And actually like showcase what they look like, where they're from, star origins and stuff. Like I may not know what their planet is called, but I can tell you what star constellation they're from.
Really? So they do you just see them coming from the stars and you know your constellations Is that how that happens?
Yeah, they will tell, like, they may not be able to translate what their name of their planet is, but they can basically tell us through our stars that we recognize in the sky, and they can basically tell us what star constellation that they're from. I do know that back in the early, I think, 80s, that scientists tried to contact beings from the Hercules constellation, and this is public. They had a satellite and they directed it towards the Hercules constellation, and they got a response back a couple of years later in a crop field, and it's a gray alien, and they're just like, be like, hey, we got your pen pal information, here you go, here's our response, we'll see if you can follow it. Like, they do have a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like you can literally look this up. And there was actually a response from a crop circle, and so they sent out a pen pal message where it gives out the star constellation where we are from, an image of a human, like all in binary code. You
Oh,
understand that? And we
yeah.
got a response back in binary code and in a crop circle. And they actually show a picture, and they actually got a little bit more decorative or more artwork where they have an actual pixelized picture of what they actually look like in a crop circle. And they basically communicated with this with fairies to basically say, hey, can you just like help us with this response from them, because they're trying to physically reach out to us and communicate with us through a satellite. And so like we have intergalactic pen pals.
Yeah. It's very interesting when you think about it. And you know what's interesting for me? I've met people that have said that they've heard stories of this actually being true, where these merfolks have literally stolen humans for a period of time, and they'll release them sometimes. Have you heard anything about merfolk doing that? And because I know that this is happening with all different races of aliens doing this with humans. They're taking them, but the merfolk seem to
So
like
I
to.
can't. Sorry, I'm just having trouble finding them. But they're known as the
No, don't worry.
Ponti on Twitter or on X. I think they're called the Ponti. PT. I'm trying to like spell it out, but they're called the Ponti. They look very similar to the Greys, but they have very human-looking faces, and they're on X. You can look them up. I'm trying to see if I can find them on Twitter. I mean YouTube, because I do know that someone made a video about them.
Well, if you're not able to find it, don't worry about it. Um,
But I can at least tell you that they're known as the Ponti,
yeah. So if
and
people,
they're on X, and I think some people may know, um, but yeah, you can basically talk and chat and interact with them. I think that they say that their Twitter says that they're in Arizona or like Mexico, but they're not really in New Zealand or Mexico, but they're like on an island somewhere out in the middle of the ocean somewhere that we can't detect. So, and they just like talk about this, but they show their chalk work and artwork and stuff. They're just like being like regular, like tourists and stuff. But yeah, it's like this stuff
I
is
think that,
public. Like you can look this up. Like our government knows about this. There's records of this. So it's not like I'm sharing information that's classified. I'm sharing information that's already been shared. It's just that it's not like well known, but it's out
yeah,
there. Like it's like, yeah, a bunch of humans or a bunch of scientists have a big giant satellite, send a message out to the Hercules constellation, hoping to see that they might get a response, and they got a response back in the form of a crop circle in a most peaceful, interesting, intricate way. You can look this up. And and they gave it back to us in binary code in a way that we can understand it.
Yeah.
And they think it is the most interesting and fun thing. And it's like, if we keep doing it, like, we might get more information through binary code. But it's just fun and hilarious. Like, some of these beings know that we're still evolving, young, curious little race. Like, they have thousands of other planets and other races that are very similar to us that are on this threshold. So they have fun with it. And it's kind of nice to be like, oh, one of our galactic neighbors is going to enter the galactic. Let's see how they're going to be, and see if they're going to be a little bit more interesting, and see how they're going to be, and stuff like that. And they just have fun with it. It's clear and evidence that they do have a sense of humor. They do like us. I'm kind of I do have a live stream. I do wanted to talk about this on my live stream, but I thought I would talk about it on YouTube channel. But I've been listening to the UFO Congress hearing where they're like showing pictures of UFOs, and I was laughing when I saw that video of the UFO that's like zigzagging back and forth, and I'm like, this UFO is mimicking an 80s retro game. Like, have you seen, like, if you look through the scope of this military video, like the scope, and they have like lines that help the person to basically shoot at something, and you can see the lines and stuff.
Yeah.
So the UFO knows this, and it's zigzagging back and forth within the lines like a video game.
It's just having fun. So
It's just having fun, and I noticed that, and I'm like, and then like they knew that this video would go on national public television. So you have a UFO that knows human technology, knows our military, knows, and through the lens of a military scope, through the Congress hearing, there's this UFO that's going zigzagging back and forth within the lines of the periscope. And this is on national public television.
So they wanted people to
Congress hearing.
have a sense of humor.
They do have a sense of humor, and they're like, we're not and it's like, it's literally like, you can actually see it. It's like, have you ever seen that retro video game where you try to balance a ball and try to like hit it like a ping pong ball? That retro 80s game.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. And then it gives you more balls, and then you have to hit it up.
Yeah.
And it will go up, and then at the sides it can come down. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, but I know it's old
or like
school.
that, like that that 80s retro game where you have a bunch of alien ships and you try to like shoot at it, like that 80s retro game. Like, UFOs, these beings do have a sense of humor.
Well, that's good. We need more.
I'm just looking at that and be like, this UFO is mimicking an 80s retro video game.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your spiritual teachings and what's on the horizon for that, and what you're currently doing and where you want to take it, because you said you want to reach more of an audience now.
I'm trying to teach people that ETs are very similar to us. They do have a sense of humor. They do have personalities. They have been watching us. They're not a threat, at least not all of them. Some of them are a little bit questionable, but it's like, they do have a sense of humor. They do like want to get to know us and understand us, but people need to like understand that they're just like us. They have families, they have personalities, they have stuff. It's very similar to like Star Trek. I think Congress and our military needs to take a lesson, or a couple of different lessons, from Star Trek.
They probably have it all cataloged and everything. They have all their notes for it, because I mean, let's face it, a lot of things in Star Trek are actually true and in the real world. And where do you think they came up with all this stuff? Because they were aware. They
Yeah,
knew
they're
that.
they're they're very much aware, and I'm trying to like tell people that they understand us. They know us. We may not know them, but they definitely know us, and they love to have fun with us or interact with us like they're not a threat. Like most of the time in the UFO community, I do know that there was a radio host and be like, yeah, we want a UFO to like show up. Like I'm totally fine creating a landing pad in my backyard and be like, hey, aliens, come and land in my backyard. We can drink beers and get high and sit around a campfire and you can tell us stuff about space.
So what about the ones that,
For like rides in a UFO.
yeah. So you're talking about a lot of positive things, and not to be negative Nancy here, but what about people that are having contact where they're having dreams and it's
So
it's
we get into the
negativity? What do they
topic
do?
we get into the topic of which goes back to what I was saying, that not every human is mentally capable and ready to handle ET contact.
So
And
what do they do when they're having these dreams with maybe out of world otherworldly beings?
mostly this is the reason why I become a spiritual consultant, because one of the things that I tell people is I understand what they're doing is a violation in some part, but you do have a right to advocate for yourself. You have a right to communicate whoever is doing this to you. And I'm sorry that not a lot of people get this message, but you can communicate with the beings that do take you.
Okay.
They do understand when a human is under stress and stuff. Like during the earlier days of UFO abductions, they did not understand that. Now that they have hybrids or two or third generation hybrids, they're slowly trying to use them to have culture interpretation and say, hey, we apologize, we're trying to make things better. But sometimes that doesn't happen. One of the things that people need to understand, that there is a difference between um, ET abductions, and then there is a difference between military abductions. And some people, from what I am understanding, is that they do try to erase the memories, but some people are immune to memory wipe. And so sometimes their brain is in a flight or flight response. And but the thing about it is that they do bring these people back unharmed most of the time. And it's just that a lot of people need to understand that if they were really here to basically harm us, a lot of people that are in these programs are UFO abductions. A lot of them would not return, but a lot of them do return. They do bring them back home to their families.
Well, thank God for that.
So
And
it's like they do, like they do have some sort of moral compass,
yeah. And
but
there's probably some rules too that they have to follow, abide
yes, there
by.
there are rules for this, and this is the reason why I'm trying to teach people about this stuff, because there are ET beings, and I do want to let people know that there are ET races that do violate policies or laws. The same thing with us as humans. There are humans that violate laws and policies. It's the same thing with ETs. And people need to understand this. And this is the reason why I'm a spiritual consultant, a spiritual researcher, because with the information and knowledge that I know, I can bring these to positive ET beings that can help prosecute some of these ET races that
Well,
are
that's
doing these
wonderful.
atrocities.
And where would, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, and if you want to give your book just a little notice and let people know where they can find that and the title of it. Um, Audrey Walters is here with us, so I want to thank you for being here today. And where can they find your information?
So I have a YouTube channel called Space. I have a YouTube channel called Starseednetlink. My popular YouTube series is called Space School Lessons. My book is called Space School Lessons Volume 1, Beginner's Guide to Galactic Politics. It is on Amazon for paperback and Kindle for people who want to read it and stuff. And my business email is starseednetlink@gmail.com if people want to reach out to me. I'm a spiritual researcher. I am trying to understand a lot of the positive and negative interactions that people have. But people need to understand that you need to separate your experiences from religion.
Well, thank you for sharing about that. And so please support Audrey, support this new channel, Miss Loisel. And it was a pleasure having you on here today, Audrey. Thank you so much. And any last words for everyone?
I just hope that a lot of people will start to understand and start to understand some of the work that I'm doing, that I'm trying to educate people. I'm trying to like help people understand about what's going on and bring answers and solutions to people. Um, I understand that a lot of people do have positive and negative interactions with ET beings. I have also. So it's not just one person's experience, and a lot of people are experiencing it. You no longer have to be shamed about it. You can come forward and talk about it. There are people here in our community that are trying to help people navigate their experiences, navigate what they have gone through. So I just want to let people know um, that even though that I'm just a researcher, I'm still researching this stuff. I'm still trying to understand it. But the more and more people that come forward that are not prosecuted or stuff like that, the more information that we can get from these people that can help shed a light and bridge the gap between this information.
Thank you so much, Audrey Walters. And bye for now.